This week on Bad Brackets, we do it in your house. Welcome back to another edition of Bad Brackets Season 2. With me this week is the returning David.
Howdy.
The returning Sean.
Hey, how's it going?
And the longtime returning Harry is back.
Yeah.
I still say it's almost worth the copyright strike.
Nope.
Almost.
Nope. Listen, I don't want more copyright strikes than viewers. All right, let's 0 and 0. We're good with it.
Let's just say, imagine LL Cool J's playing somewhere in your head, and you'll get where I'm going with that.
Yes, we brought in some wrestling fans to talk wrestling, as it's been. It's gonna make me feel really old. 30 years since the debut of kind of the side pay-per-view that the WWF at the time, WWE, wanted to do, the 2-hour extravaganza that was known as In Your House. Yes, sir?
The start of the monthly pay-per-view era in the World Wrestling Federation.
That is true, and it changed everything going forward. In Your House ran for even longer than I remembered, because I thought they got rid of In Your House, and then Harry realized or pointed out that even though other pay-per-views were called Unforgiven and so on and so forth, they were still with the In Your House tag in there. So it ran for a bit longer. And of course, NXT brought it back a few times. But we are going to look at the best matches that took place during those In Your House pay-per-views. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I watched a lot of these, and it was tough to cut down to 24. I'm just going to say it right now.
Actually, this does bring up a point that we did have off air, but I want to bring it on air so that way Sean and Doof know as well. Are we counting NXT or not?
Yes, NXT counts.
I hope so.
The weird ones with the In Your House subtitle, those all count. Everything that was in your house.
Well, those were actual In Your Houses.
NXT was in your house as well.
NXT was a piggyback, although they did have Todd Pettengill.
Yeah, they brought back the house. The house went away on the subtitle In Your House ones.
Yeah.
Just because they gave it away.
Right. Well, they gave it away in the first episode.
They did.
Such a weird.
You want to talk about shooting your load early?
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the rules. Slightly changed from season 1. If you have not watched the first episode, go back and watch it, because it was fantastic. Really, really close battle between those three. But each of these contestants are about to pick 3 possible matches that are going to be on the 24-match bracket that we will reveal throughout the show. We'll figure out who goes first here in just a second. You get points based on the seeding of the match. So if it's a 14 seed, you get 14 points. Pretty simple. And of course, if it's not on the bracket, not only are you mad at me, but you get absolutely nothing. Again, here in season 2, we have added 1 counter pick. So if you pick, you can counter pick off of somebody else's 3 picks, is basically how it works. So you have 6 matches to choose from. If that match that you chose is not on the bracket, you get an extra 5 points. However, if it is on the bracket, you lose 5 points. So a big 10-point swing with the counter picks. There's some other stuff we'll get to as the show goes on. I don't want to complicate it for Harry, as he has not been on for a year, and he looks confused already. Before the show, each of these contestants gave me their predictions for the Final Four and champion. You get 2 points for each Final Four pick. And if you're able to get all 4 correct, you get an extra 2 points. And of course, you get 5 points for picking the correct champion. Any questions from you 3? Hearing none, we'll go right on in and see who gets the first pick. The first pick today is, that's really close. That looks like a David. Do for the first pick.
That's breaking tradition.
It's a new season, new you. Then the second pick, we'll go to Sean. Sean gets the second pick. That means Harry is the third. But Harry, that also means that you will get the first counter pick. All right, David, you are up. What match do you think is on the bracket but not super high up?
I think I'm going to start with Undertaker and Mankind Buried Alive match.
Buried Alive. Sean, you're up.
I'm gonna go with the Stone Cold versus Bret Hart match that doesn't get talked about.
Oh, that was a good one.
And Hart.
Ooh,
Harry.
yeah, that's a very good pick. Give me another Bret Hart. Give me Bret and Bulldog from December of '95.
Bulldog and Hart. Back to you. Oh, I almost wrote those on the wrong things. When the order gets all wonky. I'm trying to keep track on paper so I don't have to flip back and forth, but it always gets messed up. Harry, you're back up.
Give me Jeff Jarrett and Shawn Michaels from In Your House 2.
HBK, JJ. Sean.
The Shawn Michaels Mankind Mind Games.
That better be in the bracket.
Mankind. David.
Let's do Diesel and Shawn Michaels.
It's an
Good
HBK round.
Good friends, better enemies.
Yeah.
I will be disappointed if Randy did not do a whole bracket of HBK.
All right, David, your last pick.
It's like one of the subquarters. It's all Shawn Michaels matches.
Yeah.
I don't do themes on this show.
The hell
I think I
you
gotta
don't.
go with- I'll let someone else have Yokozuna and Mabel. And
Yokozuna and Mabel, I heard it. That's his pick. All right.
I'll stick with
Counter.
the Shawn Michaels versus Owen Hart.
HBK.
Ooh, that's the good one.
And Owen. Sean.
Ooh. Man. Rock versus Mankind, the
St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yeah. Oh man, they had some good ones. So like the Rock Bottom match was good too.
Yeah, Rock Bottom. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre one.
Yep. All right, Harry, you get the last pick.
This one's kind of a snowball. It's worth a shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. Give me Vader and Ken Shamrock.
Vader,
And-
Shamrock.
And what was Shamrock's in-ring debut, and those two just beat the dog out of each other for like 15 minutes.
Sadly, I was not on the Beware of Dog pay-per-view. All right, Harry, you get the first counter pick.
Damn it! That just reminded me of another good one. Can I use my counter to pick another match?
No. You got to pick what it was voted on.
Buried Alive, I don't think is on there.
Buried Alive. Sean, your counter.
Okay. I have a thing that's like blocking a little bit of my screen because I just updated the thing and I can't take it off without getting at it. What's the last match that got picked? By
Vader Shamrock.
Vader Shamrock. I'll pick that.
You pick that one? All right,
Doof looks disappointed.
I'll do Rock and Mankind.
Rock, Mankind. How do you guys feel about your picks?
I think each one of us picked a stinker, apparently.
You hope.
Listen, we all think that way.
But I feel like the Buried Alive match going to be on there because Randy likes gimmicks.
I have no idea what you're talking about as far as the gimmicks go. But speaking of gimmicks,
I thought of like 3 different matches as we were going down the run there where I'm like, are you sure I can't just pick a different match? Because what about the No Way Out 10-man tag? What about the
yeah,
there's
like
lots of
that.
matches. I'm sure
there's
David
a
would
lot
like
of
to
matches.
counter and say that the Warrior Goldust match isn't on the bracket and get points. That's
that
not
would
how
be
the
if we're
game works.
doing that would be if we're doing a worst in your house matches.
All right, get your whiteboards ready. We're going to go through these, and you're going to answer all 3 on your whiteboard. And then I will go to each one of you for your 3 answers. We got 3 bonus questions. that will get revealed at the end of the show. So your first question, this one is worth 1 point. Again, write it down, please. Your first question, which wrestler appears on the bracket the most?
I feel like we already answered this.
Which wrestler
To be fair, it could be
appears
another
on the
wrestler.
bracket the most? Question number 2. This is worth 3 points. How many multi-person matches made the bracket? And just to clarify, this is a match that is scheduled to have more than 2 wrestlers in it. This does not count if more than 2 wrestlers interfered in the match, because most of the In Your House pay-per-views happened during the Attitude Era, and that would be all of them. Because again, I watched a lot of these matches, and interference happened every time.
Yep.
What?
There's a cap on how much Vince Russo you can watch at once.
It's
And if there isn't, there should be.
It got pretty samey. Your final bonus question. This is a big one. It's worth 5 points. How many In Your House pay-per-views have a match that featured on the bracket? Once again, I remind you, 24 matches made the bracket. In other words, how many In Your Houses ended up with multiple matches to cut down on the possibles? All right, you guys have your bonus questions. Harry is losing his mind. I've already broke him. We're in episode 2. He's forgotten how crazy the show is. David, give me your bonus question.
And 1 for me.
Which wrestler appears on the bracket the most? You said Bret Hart. How many multi-man matches? You said 4. And how many In Your Houses are represented? You said 15. Sean, let me see your answers. Who appears on the most matches in this bracket?
Oh, sorry. I wrote it down on a piece of paper and then
HBK. He also says 4 multi-man. And what is that for the last one?
12.
12 In Your Houses in the bracket. Harry.
So
let me see
12 different In Your Houses get 2 matches each? Yeah, I don't think so. There were a lot more In Your Houses than you guys are remembering.
HBK for Harry. He also says 4. And he goes with 19. We will reveal those answers at the end of the show. All right. Let's get back into it and get to our first. Oops. There we go. Our first quadrant. If I can hit the right buttons. Your first matchup. There we go. Let's get the right thing. Here we go. How about Savio Vega and Stone Cold Steve Austin? This was the what is it?
The strap match from Beware a Dog.
Match, yeah.
Yep.
The one that got
I think it was called
wasn't shown.
I think it was called Caribbean Strap.
Yeah. It was in the dark first, and then they redid it on the basically the
Beware of Dog.
17 seed. Go with the newer NXT1 LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, going for the $1 million title in a ladder match. This was in NXT TakeOver In Your House 2021. Which one moves on?
So you remember how I asked if I could get a 4th pick during our predictions?
Yeah.
Because the Caribbean Strap match is the match that popped into my head right at that exact moment.
All right, so Harry loses 5 points because he wanted that one.
I'm ready.
All right, show me.
No one.
All right, show me an answer. Strap match. Anybody like the ladder match from NXT?
Yeah.
That's not one I've seen, to be honest.
That is.
I mean,
I told Sean we're doing.
I'm a huge fan of. I'm a huge fan of Grimy. I'm a huge fan of Grimy. I enjoyed Ted DiBiase's involvement, especially with the character that Grimy was playing in NXT.
Yep.
But Austin and Savio beat the crap out of each other, not once, but twice for the sake of that strap match.
Yeah, again, if those that don't
And
know,
it was the last. Just real quick, it was also the last appearance
I'm
of Ted
still here.
DiBiase in the WWF.
There you go. All right, let's move on.
If Virgil was in it, I would have liked it better.
That is very true. And let's just get this one right out of the way. Your number 1 seed, no surprise. Hell in a Cell, the debut, HBK and Taker. Do I need to move it? Can I just click the button?
Yes, go ahead and put it to the next one.
Just
Alright.
go ahead.
I figured.
Yeah, click the button.
There are ones that are just really easy.
For the sake of completion,
Yeah.
I will write it on my board.
It's a shocker. All right, your number 9 seed. How about Bret Hart versus Hakushi?
Bless you.
Underrated match from In Your House number 1.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
9 seed here. It's not underrated by me.
Yeah.
And your 24 seed. How about Bret Hart versus Jean-Pierre? Or is it Lafitte? Lafitte. I
Lafitte.
forget.
Lafitte.
Lafitte.
Lafitte. Which match
Now
did Bret
commonly-
Hart carry better?
Now commonly known as PCO, Pierre Carl Ouye.
Still looking.
Can I just write Brett?
That will not help you. I will, say that right now.
I will say
Must have
that
a few-
Goof might be onto something with this whole Bret Hart prediction.
Well, he's got 2 so far. Let's see who you guys picked. Ooh, the 24 seed with the upset. Harry, why'd you go with the Hakushi match?
Because Hart and Lafitte were fighting over a fucking jacket.
Hey,
The
one
pirate
of the
stole
best-
his jacket, and that's why the match happened.
Well,
The rivalry
Shawn
of the
Cooper got
year
a
and then-
WrestleMania match once, so
yeah, the best rivalry of the year in WWE in 2024 was over a bracelet. So a jacket, I think, is slightly better. Just saying. Both those matches were great. I had fun going back and watching both of those.
Lafitte beat him
So
in
the
that match.
well, the thing about the Hakushi match for me too is the fact that the Bret and Hakushi wasn't even the originally announced match for that show. It was Bret versus Lawler, which they then went into right after the Hakushi match.
Yeah, and it was a Kiss My Foot match right then too, and
No, that built up to King of the Ring for the Kiss My
that was
Foot
King
match.
of the Ring. They did the Kiss My Foot. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what the 8 seed is. How about Bulldog and Bret Hart? That is points for Harry. Harry gets 8 points on the board. He takes the early lead. But which one is better? Bret and Bret. Did not want to give StreamYard did not want me to give Harry points. That was for sure. All right. Who moves? Bret and Bulldog, Bret and Lafitte. Bulldog. Doof, I know you love this match. Talk about it.
It's an entirely different dynamic than their SummerSlam match was, but because it's actually heel versus face this time. But it was just there's so many callbacks to the original two, like even the ending, like it was a flash finish that you didn't see coming, and it was a different side of Bret where he just basically, instead of trying to out wrestle him when he got busted open, he just wanted to fight Bulldog and did all he could to just beat his ass to save his own ass. And I just loved how different Bret compared to the first match that they had together, or at least the most well-known match they had together.
And I love the finish with the Lama Hustro Cradle.
Mhm.
Love that finish for this match. I think it was Bruce Pritchard who actually tells the story on his podcast, on the Something to Wrestle podcast, about Bret trying to come up with the finish for this match and seeing La Magistral used in a match in, I think it was a lucha match, and deciding that that's what he wanted to go with for the finish here because they wanted to protect Bulldog going forward, but they wanted to keep the belt on Bret going towards his Shawn Michaels Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12.
That makes sense, and it was a really, really, really fun match. However, it does go up against the first ever Hell in a Cell match, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker. Which bloody mess of a match will be our first into the final four? Go ahead and write down your selections right now. And again, I like to go one by one here and see if I can create a tiebreaker. I have a feeling that's not the case on this one, but we will just see. David, let's start with you. Hey, I thought an 8 was fair. Harry, let's go with you. And Sean, is
It's
it a
over.
clean sweep?
Yeah.
No surprise. Sean, talk about Hell in a Cell. Why is this match so good?
It's actually out of all the Hell in a Cells there's been, you could still argue it's in like the top 3 or 5.
One.
Even one. Honestly, there's a lot of people that still think it's the best one, and for it to be the first one,
I have it
says a
second.
lot. Yeah, I mean, you don't have like you still have like some you have some amazing moments there with them. Obviously, the thing a lot of people remember is that this is where Kane debuts.
Mm-hmm.
But the match itself is awesome because there's near falls all over the place, and the launching Shawn into the cage was like a moment that gets repeated over and over. So love that match. Still like going back and watching it.
Yeah, the Kane screwed Brett is seriously what it comes down to. But yeah, I had Bulldog and Brett in my final 4 because I just absolutely love that match. But so that was a gamble, but I didn't care. Hell in a Cell was
Absolutely good match. Let's move on to quadrant number 2. And your 13 seed. Steve Austin versus Dude Love at Unforgiven. Or
This is where this comes into
Taker and Austin. This is from In Your House 15, A Cold Day in Hell. Which Austin match was better?
Cold Day in Hell was the one right after Taker won the title from Sid at 13.
Yeah.
And then Unforgiven was right after Austin won the title from Shawn at 13. Or at 14. At 14.
Yes. Yeah, these were 1 year apart. Which one?
Fun fact, that Unforgiven might not be done for this thing here if he decides to go with the gimmickry.
We will see. Who moves on?
There is
Austin or Austin? Taker and Austin? That's a Taker, Austin and Love. Sean with the tiebreaker. And Austin and Love. David, why'd you go Taker and Austin?
It was, to me, the starting with the U.S. versus Canada angle, or Austin versus Hart, and there was a lot of just shenanigans, but it was well done because Austin was one of they knew it was going to be a big deal, and they knew they had to get out of not letting him win already, and Undertaker was starting his reign too, but it was just a lot of fun, and the other Austin Dude Love was better to me, so I didn't want to vote for this one.
See, I don't think Over the Edge was better. I think Over the Edge was overbooked.
In a good
Well,
yeah,
that's
one of those
decide.
times where it was like, yeah, exactly.
That's the
I
next
will let
match.
you guys decide.
Yep, I
Since
saw
you guys
that
were
one
going
coming.
right to it, we will just jump to it. Please put Unforgiven or please
Over the
put
Edge.
Over the Edge as your answer.
Well, I think you know my pick here.
And I know David's pick. It is up to Sean. It's just how it works.
Yet
I didn't
again,
realize
this
you guys
is
were going to go instantly to it. So I was like, all right, we'll just bounce to it. Over the Edge. So I will allow you to finish your thought.
the overbooked finish on Over the Edge kills the match for me, with Austin using Vince's hand to count the 3. I get that the DQ finish in order to allow Austin to retain at Unforgiven is gimmicky in and of itself, But we also saw one of the very first pay-per-view versions of violence against the owner of the World Wrestling Federation in that match too, when Austin just absolutely slaughters Vince with the chair, allegedly aiming for Dude. So you can kind of understand why they did the DQ finish at Unforgiven. Yes, cop-out finish on a pay-per-view, but in my opinion, top to bottom, specifically with Foley's bump off of the staging to the floor at Unforgiven, it's the better match.
Sean, why did you go with Over the Edge?
Just like that match better. I do like the actual double pin count because that's when like you want to see Austin do crazy stuff. It just gives me back, going back and watching it, like obviously outside of the Attitude, it just makes you kind of like think about those times where like that's what you love, to seeing what crazy thing is Austin going to do this time to either screw over somebody or get a win that's like he shouldn't have won that, but whatever, And
there was. I will say in Harry's defense that I agree with Over the Edge being overbooked. Undertaker was out there the whole time, and it just kind of seemed like a distraction. And also a wrestler or somebody that's not a referee counting a 3 count. That was not the only time in your house it happened. I felt like I watched it 3 different times watching all this stuff. It was a very popular gimmick. Also, this was around the time where Vince was like, I'm just going to ring the bell and we're going to do the Montreal screw job every time I'm out here now. I forgot how often they relied on that gimmick. And this was one of them, and that's why it was out there the whole time.
Specifically for Austin versus Vince.
Yep. 100%. Let's go to the bottom part of this graphic and let's go old school. Back to In Your House 2. It is HBK and Jeff Jarrett. More points for Harry. Congratulations. But was it better than Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart, and more points for David?
That some biscuit just took the lead over me.
Which HBK match was better? And Sean says Owen Hart. There's
Son of
Jarrett.
a bitch.
There's a Jarrett. Couple of Jarretts.
Oh, wow.
Sean, why'd you go with Owen?
Respect.
Hold on, sorry. I have to like.
That was chime in real quick. That I think.
All right, yeah, David, go ahead.
For as big of an angle that HBK's concussion syndrome was, this match was good, but it didn't have the big angle feel of like almost cost me my career, and we're just going to wrestle each other. But the Double J match was really good. Like I didn't pick it for the picks. I thought it'd be even higher than 12 actually. So,
sure. Harry, what about you?
I was a little surprised that it was as low as 12. I wasn't expecting double-digit points for that, but I knew it was such a good match that it couldn't be ignored just because of how Jarrett busts his ass in order to prove that he can hang with the main event caliber talent in Michaels. Michaels does everything he can in order to bring Jarrett up to his next level. And if Jarrett doesn't leave for WCW literally during that In Your House the first time, then I think this is the beginning of Jeff Jarrett potentially becoming a main event player in the World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, 100%. I always think Jeff Jarrett is underrated. I know a lot of people think he overbooked himself in TNA, but I always liked his in-ring work, and that's why it was up there. I really thought when I started putting this bracket together, when I was putting match ideas, that this was going to end up getting a bye. But there's some quality matches, guys, that were in there, and it just made it tougher. And then again, with the gimmicks and stuff, it does kind of get bumped down a little bit to go with Owen Hart and make things wrap up. I will, with a spoiler, I was just double checking to make sure that this did happen. There were some really good matches that missed the cut. And I want to say it was also on this show, but the Roadie and 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
Very underrated.
The pile driver off the ropes.
Yes.
The pile driver off the rope finish match. I remember that.
It was one that
Roadie walks out as well.
Yeah, I really wanted to make that deal, but it did not. No, Roadie didn't walk out. He became the new JJ. And Jesse James
Roadie walked out as well and then came back before Jarrett. Pritchard tells the story on Something to Wrestle.
I was just saying, he came back quick because he became the new Jesse James.
A couple of months.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, because he became the real Double J, Jesse James.
Yep. All right. So we got a couple of HBK matches going up against each other. I think you know where this is going. Your five
Mind
seed.
games.
No, good friends, better enemies. Shawn Michaels versus Diesel. 5 more points to David as he starts to pull away. Shawn's still looking for points. But which match was better?
Can we call if someone picks the 1 seed, is that the Haley spot since she did that?
She was really good at that. She was very good at that. Nobody's messed up their counter pick yet, so those massive points are still on the line for all 3. Allow Shawn to fix his computer situation real quick, and then we will ask for the thing or not. Everyone's just going to just show it anyways, and up where I was trying to get to the point where I cut this stuff out, but you guys.
That's Randy cut himself out.
He was worried about my internet dropping.
That couldn't have been better timing.
That was really weird. What did I hit? That it sent me to
I
the
think
red
Randy's
bracket.
computer just shut down on us.
No, not here. It sent me to the.
That's our show. Thanks for watching, everybody.
It sent us to the StreamYard homepage.
No, in your house part 2. And true, in your Beware Dog Spirit.
Who won while I was gone?
Big Daddy Cool.
All right. Diesel and then Shawn. All right.
I mean, it is kind of ironic, and in your house, and it is kind of ironic, and in your house special edition of Bad Brackets, we do have a Beware of Dog moment.
Yeah,
I went blind. Oh, that went really weird. But I'm glad you guys were able to hold down the fort while I was gone for a second. So we'll keep that in, and we'll have some fun with it. Oh no! Share screen again, apparently. Let's try this. There we go.
And amateur hour.
There we go. Yeah, 100%. That's why we have no views. Dude Love and
this is
Austin. Dude Love and Austin from Over the Edge. Shawn Michaels and Diesel from Good Friends, Better Enemies. Which one joins Hell in a Cell?
Neither.
Final 4.
Michaels and Jarrett. I'm moderately bitter about this one. Yes, it was one of my final 4 picks.
Oh, was it?
Pretty sure it was.
You had the other Love Austin one in your final 4. But I'll double check when we're doing it. But David, let me see yours. Shawn, let me see yours. Ooh. Harry is a clean sweep?
It is. Good Friends, Better Enemies.
Yeah. Guys, just overall thoughts on that match?
He literally hit him with Mad Dog Vachon's leg.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the Austin and
Like
Dude
what
Love
more?
match, like even as a 14-year-old, I wasn't buying Dude Love was going to win the title. Like if they would have kept it as Mankind still, I think it might have, like as much as they were throwing at Austin and everything being overbooked, like it was still highly entertaining. But I think having it be Mankind or even bringing Cactus Jack back for that one, it might have added to the drama a little bit because I just think Dude Love wasn't winning that match.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, Harry,
yeah, because I think we'd only seen Cactus. I think Cactus Jack had only been seen once in the WWF at that point. I think the MSG appearance was his only time having previously appeared.
Yeah. Or the Royal Rumble match also.
No. Oh, he was Cactus Jack for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
When he teamed with Terry
Cactus. Yeah.
Funk. I take that back.
All right, we are halfway through.
Match against the Outlaws.
Here we go. Quadrant 3. Your 14 seed. How about X-Pac and D'Lo Brown from In Your House 25 Judgment Day? for a match I just could not keep off this. Taka Michinoku and Brian Christopher from In Your House 19 D-Generation X. That match surprised the hell out of me rewatching it. Which surprising match moves on?
What is whomever wins here is losing to the 3 seed?
For 200.
You don't know that.
Oh, I can next to guarantee it.
Since I know what the 3 seed is, I should just hit the button twice right now and just move it on. And not even show you guys what it was.
Surprising. I'm going with the Canadian Stampede 10-man tag.
All right, who moves on? D-Lo and X-Pac, Christopher. Kayenta there, Brian Christopher. Hey, a clean sweep. Surprising. Anybody?
It's like one of those fast-paced cruiserweight matches that you didn't get like a ton of at that time.
And I think just a bloody mouth added to it too, even though it's unintentional. But
yeah, that was really good.
And my other thing about the D'Lo Brown X-Pac match here is they were throwing mid-carders out there to die at the start of the pay-per-views, and the crowd did not care for most of the first half of that match. They eventually reeled them in later on into the match, but that crowd was dead-ass silent. Whereas, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Lawler and Taka open the show with a hot crowd?
I love that you call him Lawler. But yeah, I think so. I think they're both openers. But yeah, that's why I love that D'Lo X-Pac match so much, because they got them into it, and this was during the summer of the
Nation versus
Nation and DX stuff, as Mark Henry and China were doing their stuff, and it all worked out. It was really fun. Underrated.
Yes, X-Pac has some stuff he regrets from that time frame.
I agree. All right, your 3 seed, and he was right. It is a Canadian Stampede. I will just click the button.
I'm not even going to waste my time.
I just click the button. Listen, there's got to be easy matchups in there, but I had to give some love to those 2 matchups. I think you guys understand. Let me double check here.
If Vader and Shamrock isn't on the bracket because of those two, we're going to have words.
We will see. But there is. Wait, what did I do here?
I like how he was worried about me having issues, and it's him having all the issues.
Oh, there we go. Again, when I write things down, it's based off of different words or different order of you guys. So I just looked down and I had Sean with the same pick and counter pick. Like he counter picked himself. I go, that's not right.
I almost thought about doing that, actually.
That's something I do.
I am waiting for somebody to do it. But
are you saying that's legal?
I don't care.
Yeah, well, I guess he is, right?
If you want to sacrifice a chance at 24 points and try to get 5 out of it.
For a guaranteed 5, I guess you have a point there.
Yeah. All right, it could be an interesting way to counter it, I guess. So, all right. Your 11 seed. How about the triple threat? Io and Charlotte and Rhea from In Your House 2020. Or your 22 seed. The triple threat between Ken Shamrock, The Rock, and Mankind in a steel cage at Breakdown. Which one moves on? And now while you guys write, I'm just double checking now that I have it correct.
I'm trying to think of what triple threat he has facing in the next round.
Oh God, Farouk and Savio and
Crush.
All right, let's just hit the button right now, and we'll just move on.
Rest in peace, Crush. But good grief.
All right, what moves on? Cage match all the way. Yeah, there you go. Straight, clean sweep.
Respectfully, Randy, I cannot vote for a match that involves Poochie.
I don't know who that is.
Charlotte.
Which face version was this of hers? 33 or 37?
Jesus.
He's not wrong.
He's not, but Jesus. I thought I was working stiff.
All right, we'll flip from making fun of Charlotte to the beautiful face of Mankind. Why'd you pick that match?
You're the Mankind.
Yeah.
I love the booking of that match with the triple threat inside the cage and the number one contendership on the line as well with it. I thought it was fantastic there. And not to mention it bookended another triple threat on that same pay-per-view with Taker, Rock, or Taker, Kane, and Austin for the title, where they finally end up getting the belt off of Austin. God help me, Randy, if that's the 6th seed, we're going to have problems.
I think it'd be like 78th seed, that match. But
All right. Yeah. You guys were on the right track as far as
it is a triple threat.
Close.
Final four.
It's the final four. Hart, Austin, Taker, Vader. From In Your House, final four. The Shawn Michaels lost his smile, and we don't know what to do, so let's just throw this around. Match. I will not.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the Royal Rumble. It goes back to the Royal Rumble '97 with Austin getting eliminated and then sneaking back in order to win it.
I was so mad as a kid when he did that.
So good.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a work.
Which one moves on?
Sorry, cough.
Still real to us, damn it. Final four. Sean, we're going to pretend to have the final four.
Yes, final four.
Final four. All the way. David, I know.
Ooh, this sets up a...
What was that?
Talk about this match, sir.
It was... for the time, they didn't really do many multi-man matches. And this one, in the oddest way, I have a fatal four-way where pinfalls and submissions count and over the top rope, and it saves everyone's character because nobody got pinned, nobody tapped out, and everyone came out the exact same way as the match finished, other than Brett was champ at the end. And Vader his face annihilated and still working another 20 minutes after that, and it was just very well done. There was never a dull moment either. There was no laying outside the ring waiting for your spot. If you were outside the ring, they were beating each other's ass, and they'd flip-flop and still beat each other's ass, and it was a great car crash.
Do you guys remember the gauntlet for the gold from TNA?
No, not off the top of my head.
This match kind of sets a template for that. So Gauntlet for the Gold was a battle royal with staggered entrances where you could be eliminated by pinfall, submission, or over-the-top rope elimination. This match kind of sets, and that's how they crowned the first TNA heavyweight champion. This match kind of set the template for that match, although they expanded it into the battle royal with the 20 different participants. It's how Ken Shamrock, who I'm hoping we're still going to see, ended up winning the TNA Heavyweight Championship on the debut episode of NWA TNA on pay-per-view
against Malice.
I will say with the final four match,
rest in peace, Jerry Tuitt.
I love the fact that it was pinfall, submission, or over the top, and all three eliminations were over the top.
Well, I think it makes sense though with the way the Rumble played out, with Austin screwing everybody at the Rumble.
I think it just should have stayed that way. It should have been over the top. But it worked out well because then you still could have the near falls and you could still have submissions. And I think they weren't relying on just throwing each other over the top rope. A lot of those gimmicks, like that's why I don't like I Quit matches as much or last man standings, because they rely on that gimmick over and over and it kind of drags.
And it also sets up one of the greatest episode moments on Raw ever. The very next night when Bret Hart drops the belt to Psycho Sid and then completely loses his shit.
Well, one thing I got to point out that I am glad they stopped doing during this era is in any heavyweight title match how slow the 3 count was.
Yeah.
It was like the end
Oh,
of the match.
the Hebner injured
Oh.
Hebner count.
God, yeah, it's that Sid match with Brett reminded me of it because remember that's how he won the belt too because it was 1, 2.
I forgot how to do my job. All right. It's a good one. Canadian Stampede 5-on-5 match or the Final 4. Which one goes to the Final 4? Ha ha ha. That's
Oh, you mean 2 of my final 4 right here?
well, you just throw it out there. I wasn't going to spoil things.
I think I might have had 2 of them in the Final 4 as well.
I also think Sean
I don't know if
forgot
I had.
what he sent me for his Final 4 because he's voted out most of his Final 4. I don't.
No, well, I mean, one of them is in there. I think another one is going to be in there right now, and then
We'll see.
one
And
of
the
them is
other
probably
two?
not even going
I'm
to be on the bracket, and then the other one, I hope to God, is on there because if it's not, then I don't know.
I'm ready.
All right, let's start with Harry.
Oops, sorry.
All right, we start with Sean. David, is it a clean sweep?
Canadian Stampede.
Oh, not a clean sweep. Sean messed things up. I would have got it right. Stampede on. We haven't really got to talk about it because it went so fast. Harry, talk about it.
That Canadian Stampede 10-man is the epitome of the Team Canada versus the Team Austin. It is literally one of the hottest crowds you will ever see for a wrestling show up in Canada. Literally that card as well, and I say this with no exaggeration. There are 4 matches only on that pay-per-view, and every single one of them is an absolute banger. It is top to bottom the best pay-per-view the WWF ever did.
Yeah, I watched every match of that. That was the only show I watched top to bottom to prep for this, and the crowd really made that show, and it was really, really good.
That's Taker versus Vader for the heavyweight title at that show too,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I was going to say great Sasuke and Taka Michinoku in the opener.
Mm-hmm.
And then isn't that the show that the minis match comes from as well?
No, Goldust and Triple H, or Mankind and Triple H. They fight like
Mankind and Triple H.
But yeah, I obviously don't hate the 10-man tag that I have it in my Final 4, but the Final 4, for whatever reason, just always stuck with me as just being an absolute blast of a match. Yeah, but the 10-man tag, you can't say anything bad about it unless you're dumb. Because that crowd, they could have just traded headlocks for half an hour and that crowd would have ate it up. They made the match even better than it already was. It was just great.
And the post-match moment with the Hart family celebrating with the foundation inside of the ring still tugs at the heartstrings because it's one of the last times that all of them were together inside of a wrestling ring.
Yeah,
very, very true. All right.
There was no wrong answer there, but I think Stampede is the better match.
Yeah. It was a shot in the dark for Final 4, but I knew it wasn't going to win.
All right. Your final quadrant begins with the 15 seed. Undertaker versus Mankind in Buried Alive. Harry, you lose 5 points.
Bullshit.
David gets 15 points, but
I quit.
Is it better than Undertaker versus Mankind from Revenge of the Taker? Which Taker-Mankind match was the better Taker-Mankind match that was not participated at King of the Ring, which was the best Taker-Mankind match?
So now I'm trying to think if there's a third Taker Mankind match on in your house for it to face in the quarters.
They had one at like this King of the Ring event once. I think you'd probably have to
I don't think that counts though.
It was King of the Ring in your house. I do remember. So David nailed all three of his. He's up to 41 points.
Yeah, we're screwed. David's definitely winning this episode.
Sean has yet to get one on the board yet. Could he be the first Ofer, is the question.
Is he about to pull off the Watkins from season 1?
Also possible, but who moves on? Avenger Taker, we got a Buried Alive. And Sean, you break the tie, sir. I can't
Buried
read
Alive,
that at
sorry.
all.
Buried
Alive.
Alive.
There we go. Buried
Buried
Alive.
Alive.
Moves on. Harry, why'd you go with the other one?
Fireball at the end.
I didn't care for the Buried Alive match. The hokey nature of the way the show goes off of the air with the lightning striking the graveyard and Taker shooting the gloved hand up. Cool visually, but incredibly sports entertainment. And
That is
to me,
I mean, that
I'm
was
aware,
that time in general.
to me
Rumble
though,
94.
the revenge of the Taker match between the two of them, just it flowed better. It had more stop-start moments, like where they were taking the crowd up and then letting them come back down, then taking the crowd back up and letting them come back down. I think it's a better match.
Totally fair. But is the Buried Alive match better than your 2 seed from
Mind
Games? Shawn Michaels and Mankind. Shawn, you have points.
I
it's
know.
2,
I see.
It's
I
2
knew I
points.
had to have points somewhere.
but it's something. There's no shutout. Which one goes on?
2 is the loneliest number that you'll ever know.
Let me make sure I give Shawn his points. It's very important here. There we go.
Thank you.
All right, who moves on? Buried Alive, Mind Games. Mind Games, Mind Games, Mind Games. Very nice. We will talk about that match here in just a moment, but let's go to the other quadrant and wrap up the final 3 matches that are on the bracket. Your 10 seed from NXT, Keith Lee and Johnny Gargano. Or the 23 seed, the Inferno match. Back in the gimmicks, Taker and Kane.
I mentioned this match earlier when we talked about Dude in Austin.
Yep. You said I like my gimmicks. First Inferno match. Technically not great, but what a cool visual that match was. All right. Show me winner. Gargano and Lee. The Inferno match. So it comes down to Shawn. And he goes with the Inferno match. Another first round upset. Harry, talk about the NXT match.
This wasn't so much a vote for the NXT match as it was a vote against the Inferno match. I cannot stand that match. I thought it was stupid then, and it's still stupid now.
There was a flat out entry
Fire-
when I was a kid. I mean, they
Fire
said
has
you're
no
gonna-
place in wrestling.
You're gonna set somebody on fire, and you're like, that's it actually gonna happen. But at least it was honestly, this was better than having your eyeball popped out of its head, though. Like that and
Okay.
Rey Mysterio or whatever.
Fair, but that's a low bar.
So we have one match left on this bracket.
I'm screwed.
There are 3 matches left that you guys voted on or picked during the draft that have not appeared. There are 2 counter picks still on the board. And your 7th seed, Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. Austin Hart, there's more points for Shawn. He gets 7 points there, but he's also going to get his counter pick right. And David's going to get his counter pick right. But while I tabulate that, Inferno match versus Austin and Hart. Which one is going to move on?
I mean, this is really a race for second at this point.
Yeah.
And also, Harry, again, I mean, I got this bracket, locked in 2-3 weeks before we're filming this episode. When you picked Vader Shamrock, I went, yes, it's on the bracket. I forgot it got bumped. 100%. Like the whole time, I'm like, that's good points for Harry. Until we were going through and I went, oh, it didn't make. So you kept saying, we're going to have words. We're going to have words. I go, just wait. It's on there. And then as we got done, I went, oh.
Yeah, we're going to have words.
That match was really good. That match was very, very good. Especially for Shamrock having his first match.
So my thing about that match is it's just so different than anything else you saw in the WWF at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember UWFI, but that's what it was. It was shoot wrestling. It was pro wrestling turned into mixed martial arts because they beat the shit out of each other for almost 15 minutes.
Well, you listen to any like old like 80s, 90s wrestler, they talk about facing Vader and how hard he hit. And then Shamrock comes from the UFC world. So that's a perfect combo for Shamrock's first match where he's trying to learn the ropes and Vader, who's just going to give it right back. And that's just all they did.
And there were a lot of people who saw this as kind of Vader's you get what you give situation too, where, all right, mother, you want to stiff people, here you go.
Right. All right, but which moves on here? Hart and Austin or the Inferno match? You know, Sean, you could write it down before while we talk. There you go. Hart and Austin.
I think he wrote it down already.
No, he was writing it down. I watched him do it.
No, I'm sorry. It's just I'm having to.
Curiosity. You're using purple pens.
Hart and Austin moves on.
Am I noticing this wrong? Are we all using purple pens?
I'm changing it up. I have
a brown one too. I just keep grabbing the purple one.
If it's hard, I gotta grab the pink.
So the answer was yes, we were.
You guys should be more synced with your answers. Here you go. Mind Games, HBK and Mankind, or Hart and Austin. Not as good as WrestleMania, but pretty darn good in its own right. Which one joins the other matches in the final four?
I actually have so while we're waiting for everybody else to write down their answers, I actually have a pretty bold wrestling take here. You ready for this, Randy?
Yeah.
The WrestleMania match is not their best. The WrestleMania match is not their best match together.
Do you like the Survivor Series match more?
I do.
Yeah.
I think the Survivor Series 96 match was better.
That match was really good. I mean, I disagree with your take, but I totally respect it because I love that match as well. Though, and I will also say, maybe we will do this in the future. I don't think the Austin Bret Hart match was Bret Hart's best Survivor Series match.
Sean, it's a Survivor Series 92?
Nope. Diesel.
From 95.
No,
yeah,
later than that.
Survivor Series 95 because Diesel was gone in 96.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I that's probably my favorite Diesel.
The one where Diesel power bombs Bret through the announce table.
Yep. Again, that was in the age where you don't see that stuff as often. You saw the physicality of it. You saw Bret doing everything he could to tying Diesel's legs up into the ring post and then the quick roll up and Diesel losing his mind after. I love that match.
Can we do Survivor Series matches in November?
It might happen. And I will tell you right now, don't pick that in your draft because it's going to be very high up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, it depends if we do a traditional Survivor Series matches only bracket or just Survivor.
I don't think there's enough of them.
My weird wrestling take is I always enjoyed Survivor Series more than SummerSlam because I loved the Survivor Series gimmick as a kid.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let me see Harry's pick.
My favorite wrestling pay-per-view is Royal Rumble.
Me too.
Oh, same.
Harry's
Mind Game.
Mind Games.
You suck,
David.
Randy. You suck.
David, let me see yours. How do I suck?
Because
Austin
I
Hart. Now
purposely
you suck,
thought
'cause it's up to you.
I tried to outthink Randy and it didn't work this time.
I'm trying to
purposely
figure out what
thought-
Sean thought he sent me.
No, because I purposely thought that you would do all the HBK stuff in one thing, and you would purposely put Mind Games and the Hell in a Cell in one bracket, so I didn't pick Mind Games as part of the Final Four for that reason.
Mind Games does move on.
Again, the Austin Brett match and from the what is it? The pay-per-view after WrestleMania 13, correct? Is that Revenge of Taker?
Wait,
I
which
believe.
match you talking
The Brett and Austin match that we're discussing right here. I'm pretty sure that's from Revenge of Taker, right?
about? It is from Revenge of Taker. Yes.
Yeah. So that's right after. That's right after the WrestleMania match that they had. So both matches are really good. But again, like I said, I do think the Survivor Series match that they had is the best of the three that they had together. It's an incredible trilogy, and the one that arguably made Steve Austin as a main eventer in the WWF. But I don't think it's the best match. Whereas I don't think there's any question that until the Randy Orton match at Backlash in 2004, Mick Foley considered the Mind Games match against Shawn Michaels his best match in the WWF, even ahead of Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that anytime you hear interviews, he's bringing up
That was
that.
living in his book. First book.
Which I have in my on my phone as part of my wrestling little mini library I have on my phone. Currently reading Becky Lynch's book, actually.
I don't know how to read, so are those on tape yet?
Yeah.
You're not telling us anything we don't know. Don't know how to rank matches either.
Hey, 4 of the top 5 seeds are here in the Final Four, so I'm just saying. I thought I seeded them.
I was gonna say after like 6, it was probably really hard because the
It
top.
got hard. Right, getting the first 8 was pretty easy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Trusted for shaming. All right. Here is your first matchup. Hell in a Cell versus Good Friends, Better Enemies. Shawn Michaels made 3 of the Final 4, by the way. Could have been 4 out of 4 if he didn't lose his smile. He probably was going to be part of that Canadian Stampede match, really. If you think about it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's right after he didn't lose his smile there. That's right after him and Brett got into it backstage, with the hair pulling incident.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true, too.
Well, he was out for a while still with that knee because that was all after WrestleMania 13, and he just dragged that knee injury out forever, it seemed like, as he's backflipping off the top rope. And...
Right. All right. Let's go with David first. Let's go with Harry.
You picked the wrong person, unless it's a sweep.
I'm pretty sure it's a sweep. Yeah. Sean didn't seem like he was super into the Diesel Shawn Michaels match more than Hell in a Cell. So I had a feeling that it was going to be a clean sweep. How about this one though? Mind Games and Canadian Stampede. Which one?
See, this is tough because these are 2 of my favorite matches of all time.
Again,
I think I know where I have to go.
In Your House had some legit, really good matches. I had a really tough time cutting it to 24.
Certified bangers, as the kids would say these days.
Yeah. All right, let's start this time with Sean. He went with Mind Games. Let's go with David. I chose correctly, and I'm making Harry pick between 2 of his favorite matches of all time. Harry, break the tie.
The finish is the decision here. Michaels and Foley go to a disqualification. Canadian Stampede ends clean in the middle.
That's why I didn't even put it in my final four, because that ending sucked so bad.
Yeah, that's why I went to David second, because I knew he was not going to pick Mind Games, because he kept messaging me after watching that match.
God, that crowd was so into it, and then Vader shows up, and I was a huge Vader fan. That was one of the first times I ever said, "Fuck you, Vader."
All right.
Wait, we can drop F-bombs on this show.
Depends on how much work I want to do to put a weird. Maybe I'll do the up, down, down, and put a dolphin noise. But I don't want to make it fun for you guys to cuss, and then that's more work for me.
Yeah,
but
family show.
The dolphin is pretty funny.
It is really good. For the finish of that match, I will allow the F-bomb to slip. Here you go. Hell in a Cell, Canadian Stampede. Only one can be crowned the best in your house match of all time. But which one?
And two matches that changed the face of the World Wrestling Federation
within the span of like 4 months.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go with Harry this time.
I love Canadian Stampede. I do. But it's got to be Hell in a Cell here.
David, did you go Canadian Stampede? He did not. Sean, did you go Canadian Stampede? He did not. Clean sweep for Hell in a Cell.
I love the Canadian Stampede 10 match. I have sung the praises of it this entire episode here. But when you think about matches that mean the most in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, now World Wrestling Entertainment, Hell in a Cell is still a massive thing in the WWE because this match put it on the map as the match to blow off issues.
And it even set up a new one at the same time. I mean, this was like the perfect match. It was like when I think it was the sports video game one that I did, and then Tyson's Punch-Out one. It's like, it wasn't just my favorite sports game. It's probably my favorite game ever. This isn't my favorite in-your-house match. It's probably one of my favorite matches ever.
Yeah.
It's just,
100%.
It holds up. I told Randy I saved it for last on purpose just because I wanted to watch it last. And it was just the story behind it. Like that HBK chair shot at SummerSlam was perfect. Like the way
the Ground Zero match to set up Hell in a Cell as well.
I love that match too. It was just HBK being a total chicken shit, but still bringing the fight when it came to him. It was just perfection all around. The crowd ate everything up.
And as much as we don't like to talk about Vince, that's gotta be Kane.
Yeah, that's gotta be Kane is an
iconic call.
And the music still hardly ever changed for Kane too. It was that iconic little organ at the beginning. And
see, I will always love slow wrestling theme songs. Should be
the Slow Chemical one is really great.
Oh yeah,
I love Slow Chemical by Finger 11 for Kane. I thought it fit him perfectly.
That's one thing WWE's missing.
The recognizable theme songs these days.
They are missing that so bad.
Yes.
Just wrestling in general.
Do you guys watch NXT at all?
I haven't as much lately, but Obafemi's
Thea Hale just came back, and she's using Eddie Edwards' old song from TNA, that "I Am the Fire" song.
Oh, nice.
It's a good track, and it fits Thea too.
Oh, hold on. Let's go ahead and finish off this episode.
I was going to ask, did we end the
No, we got more to do. We got more to do.
He had stuff to work on, so I was filling time.
We got season 2 fun stuff, even though David kind of has run away with this episode, so the drama's not as close as it was in our first episode. But
David, congratulations.
Congratulations.
This is worth 5 points. This will help your average down the line. 24 matches made the bracket. 1 just missed. Who's the bubble boy? You get 5 points if you get it right. We'll go in reverse order of points. So, Sean, you get the first choice. You can pick the same match if you so choose, but we're just going in this order.
Oh, my God. I've been having to focus on other stuff that I completely forgot that match that they were talking about with Harry.
Vader and Shamrock.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that.
Vader and Shamrock. Harry.
I'm gonna go with the Ground Zero match between Michaels and Taker.
I'll pick Ground Zero. We'll know what you're talking about. And David.
I was thinking that one too, but I might even just go with Brett and the Patriot.
Wow. That's a
Oh, damn it. I bet
That's
you're going to go
awesome.
with that Max Mini Al Mosaic match.
I wanted to. Max Mini match was really good. Go watch it. It was great. But
I
did
know.
not.
We talked about it.
I did not.
No VLC.
Your bubble match. How about early Triple H and Rock
Ah.
from Fully Loaded?
The 30-minute draw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That match was pretty good. And set up the ladder match at SummerSlam. So it all worked out. Now we look at what you had in your Final Four and champion to give away the points. Everybody had Hell in a Cell as a champion. I was trying to create drama, but you guys messed it up. You all had Canadian Stampede as well. Harry was the only one that had 3 of the Final Four correct, as he had HBK and Mankind. I was laughing with Sean because he had EO, Charlotte, and Rhea. He sent me, and he voted that out in the first round. And then he had Love and Austin, that was a really fun battle because Harry had the Unforgiven Love and Austin. But then Sean voted out Love and Austin in the the quarterfinals, basically. I was like, what? So Sean he didn't want points. All right, let's look at your bonus questions again. Doof kind of took the drama out of it, but that's all right. We'll see if you guys' answers have changed as we went through this bracket. Which wrestler appears on the bracket the most? David said Bret Hart. Harry and Sean said Shawn Michaels. Anybody want to change? You can't for points, but anybody disagree with their own answer?
I still think it's HBK.
Undertaker might have snuck in there, though.
It was Stone Cold. Steve Austin was in 7 matches. HBK just in 5, but 3 of them ended up in the Final Four. Brett had 5, and then Taker and Foley both were in 6.
You know what happened? If Sean doesn't lose his smile, I win this.
Oh, probably. 100%. How many multi-person matches made the bracket? The answer is 4. I clicked the wrong part. There you go. You all said 4. So 3 points for each of you. Let me go ahead and give them. Did they all go through? 26 for Sean, 58. Yep. Okay. I have you guys minimized really small, so seeing that number is rough. So when it doesn't change, I'm not sure. And the final one worth 5 points. How many in your house pay-per-views have a match on the bracket? David said 15. Harry said 19. Sean did not say 19. That's a lie.
Sean said 12.
He said 12. I was just correct with the wrong thing. Oh, where'd it go?
He broke it.
Look at it back. There you go. David said 15. Harry said 19. Sean said 12, as I said just a second ago. Anybody want to change their answer?
I want to say 17 or 18, but
I think I'm spot on at 19.
Well, Sean was not right at 12. I'll just say that. Answer. How about 21? 21. In Your House 2020 had 2 matches. Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano,
Unforgiven,
and Io Shirai, and Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Where's the other one from? Unforgiven, Dude Love and Austin, Undertaker and Kane. And the last one was Revenge of Taker, Austin and Bret Hart, and Undertaker and Mankind. Those are the In Your Houses that had multiple stuff. So there you go. Episode 2 in the book. David pulls away with a big win. Harry holds on for second. Congratulations there. And Sean was here as well, but he was a good sport and was multitasking and still was nice enough to hop on and be a third member here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. We're here every single Monday. I am backlogging some of these recordings to make sure that when life happens, we have episodes already in the bank ready to go. And and we hopefully we will not go on a big hiatus again. So next week, very simple topic. What is the best sport? That's it. That's all I gave the contestants. What is the best sport? You will find out next week, right here on Bad Brackets. But for that's David, that's Sean, that's Harry, I'm Randy. I thank all of you for hanging out. But just remember, in the remembrance of one Scott Hall, good brackets do not last forever, but bad brackets do.